Coming to you live from downtown Detroit, this is Benzinga's PreMarket Prep with your host, Joel Elconin.
This is a volatile puppy here, isn't it?
And Dennis Thick.
I'm bidding a penny. I will buy the stock for a penny.
With everything you need to start your trading day.
Good morning, traders and investors. Welcome to Monday's edition of Benzinga's Pre-Market Prep, brought to you by Benzinga Pro. We're working with Spencer in New York. Spencer, how you doing this morning?
Oh, I'm still here, Joel. You couldn't get rid of me yet. I'm still here. Good to be here with you guys. We got Rachel Shasha joining the show today at 8:35. She is a trader and blogger at Sassy Options. But before then, we've got a lot to discuss. We'll take your questions in the chat, YouTube, PreMarket Prep, or premarket.benzinga.com. You guys know the drill. Joel, what's happening this morning in the market?
Green on the screen. S&P futures after a nice close on Friday, trading up 375 at 27.33 and a quarter. Pre-market high 27.41. I like 27.44. That's a high that you had in March as a potential target. If we lose that pre-market low of 27.27 and a quarter, let's look at Friday's low at 16 and a quarter. Crude still staying in the $70 handle, up a dime at 70.80. Gold hanging out down 80 cents at 13.1990. Silver down 8 cents at 16.67. And Bitcoin no longer over $9,000, trading in the 8,000 handle. We're talking the futures now, trading down $20 at $8,410. Let's bring in Dennis here. Dennis, how you doing on this Monday morning?
Doing pretty good. We're looking at a quiet market here today. There is some individual movers, though, and a lot of news coming from overseas and some of these movers as well. So we'll jump into those, and we'll have the kickoff of retail earnings season on Tuesday. So it's quiet on the earnings front here today, but it will start up with Home Depot there tomorrow. So retailers will be moving here in the next few days.
Okay, just real quick, Spencer, why don't you tell everyone why you're out in New York and what's the big doings in New York this week?
Oh, yeah, this shouldn't be news by now, but I'm here in advance of the Benzinga FinTech Awards. I mentioned that it's for several weeks now, so that'll be tomorrow. Joel and I are going to be doing the show from the venue Tuesday and Wednesday, so that'll be exciting. Joel, you'll find out later today, so come out and see me. I miss you.
All right, Spencer will be setting up all the audio and everything from the show, so it will be working perfectly. With absolutely no problems when I get there about 4:30. So
Nice.
I'm looking forward to that. All right, Dennis, where do you want to go here? We do have some stocks moving and Mr. Trump related, I guess.
Yeah, and Spencer, you've been following this story pretty closely here. So this is about ZTE and, as we say in Canada, ZTE. But in any regard here, talk ZTE this morning. What is this ban that's potentially, being reversed by Trump, and what stocks are moving off this?
Well, remember about a month ago, the United States accused ZTE of lying about doing business with North Korea and such. So they banned U.S. companies from selling their equipment to ZTE. It essentially killed the company, right? If you can't buy equipment, you're screwed. So it essentially killed ZTE, on the spot. You saw a lot of U.S. companies moving off that news who get a good chunk of their sales from ZTE. That was about a month ago. That was the 16th that happened of April. Now we're getting news of, as usual, nothing is ever set in stone with this administration. So now Trump is sort of using ZTE as leverage in meeting with the Chinese head of state, and they're going to talk about how they can potentially reverse course on ZTE. And you're seeing a lot of movement this morning in the optical stocks because a lot of these companies, they do business with a lot of American companies, and there are movers off of this. Sympathy plays galore, and we're going to have continued movement on this until the story is settled, which who knows when that will be.
So a ton of stocks that are moving up on this. Spencer, you had a list going here.
Yeah,
give us the top 5 names here that are really moving on this.
Acacia, ACIA is up. Last I checked, 15% this morning.
Yeah.
Lite, LITE, up about 5%. AAOI, up about 3%. FN, up about 4%. And Finisar, also up 4%. Those are the big movers in the morning.
Yeah, all these stocks trading up significantly on this. And you can see, even going to that chart of ACIA, you said about a month ago this stuff was happening. That's probably the gap down day when it went from $40 down to 25. Was there something else that happened there, or was that,
no,
related
because I
to
think
this?
Acacia, somebody was, I forget who it was, but someone came out and said, oh, they make up like a really good chunk of our sales. Yeah, so here's a breakdown. I think Acacia said that ZTE makes up 20. I'm sorry, I stand corrected. I'm reading the wrong number there. But Acacia and Lumentum were the two biggest movers, I think, off the original headline. But yeah, they both got cracked, and it's all the same story.
And they're back. I mean, Acacia is almost all the way back here now at 36.50 to where it gapped down from. It's only a couple bucks off. So again, buy the dippers win here, Joel. But this chart obviously very affected by administration news here. So it's so tough sometimes. You get a headline, and all of a sudden technicals don't matter at all. It's going to go wherever the hell it wants to go off the fundamental data. So, I mean, if you're losing your sales, they're going to kill the stock. If the sales are back on the table there, it's going to rally up, and here we are. So it's all just headlines from Trump basically moving this ACIA, at least this morning.
I don't want to sound like a broken record, but you know who's like this stock for a while? Sean, Sean.
Who is it?
Sean's like this one.
But that's Sean Udo. He is so hot right now.
I know he is.
I'm going long, Sean. Sean, you got to listen in. Sometimes he listens to us delayed. Sean, we love you, Sean. We got to get you back on here. You have been hot right now.
All right. Well, the interesting thing about the ACIA, and I'll just go through this one, and then we can talk about Qualcomm and NXP because they're on the move. The initial surge in ACIA took it to 38.50. So that's $2 off this level. And you look like you got some profit takers coming in after that. So that pre-market high of 38.50 could be safe. There's absolutely nothing in there, according to the charts, up to 39.30. Coming back on the downside, buyers after that making high have been staying up at 35.82. So, Des, before we move on to that, we need to talk about a Friday trade, a little Friday wager that we had on there, buddy.
You almost lost 3 lunches, man. You held it down, didn't you? So I said NVIDIA could go positive. He gave me 3-to-1 odds on it. I took it. Did you see that rip roaring rally in the first hour? It got up within 30 cents. I would have 3 lunches from Joel, and I couldn't quite get there and then collapsed. So all I needed was another 30 cents off NVIDIA, and I would have got the 3 lunches. But
I guess that
I liked the bet. I thought it could go positive. It almost did, but then it couldn't do it.
I almost feel guilty taking this lunch from you, but that won't stop me.
But you were giving me 3 back. I would not have felt guilty taking 3 from you.
I know. But I got to hand it to the Brentster, man, because it was trading like 58.5, and then it was traded 59, and then I'm looking at it, and he was like he was willing to take some of the risk off me, and we just couldn't figure out how to do it. I mean, a half a lunch, and he certainly didn't want to be on the hook for a big portion of the 3.
All 3 lunches.
But once again, the importance of the closing price. I mean, if that's not a better, a better illustration of that, you have a stock trade down $10, comes all the way back. People, they're not thinking about the close. They're not thinking about the mark. So just, we talk about the close and the mark a lot, but there's just a great illustration of it. The other stocks here on the ZTE stuff and NXPI, and I don't know who it was. It BZ Tokyo? Yeah, he started buying at 104, and he averaged, and because he thought this deal might go through. Talk about the effects of Qualcomm and NXPI, and then we can move on to our next stocks.
Well, it's kind of separate, but maybe it's kind of together too. Like now China's going to, potentially.
It's all together. It's all together.
Kind of interlinked here. Give us those details.
No, I mean, yeah, it's kind of the same thing, right? China is going to restart their regulatory review of Qualcomm and NXPI, and it's all a matter of leverage, right?
Why is Trump such a defender of Qualcomm? Because think about this: before Qualcomm was coming out and Broadcom was going to buy Qualcomm, he's absolutely not going to allow Broadcom to buy Qualcomm. He comes in, and now all of a sudden we got China going to reallow the NXPI. It seems like he must be really good buddies with somebody there in Qualcomm. No, doesn't seem like Trump is like the Qualcomm's best friend.
Don't know, man.
Well, you know what I'm saying? You know my argument, Joel.
Yeah.
Here, I mean, it seems like whatever Qualcomm wants, Qualcomm, gets the help of the president. So anyways, I don't know. It hasn't helped Qualcomm shareholders at all. So, even though I'm a Qualcomm shareholder, it really hasn't helped because the stock has went down, but has lifted here in the last few days up to $56. It is lifting here again. I don't know. You think this deal goes through?
That's a great question because from BZ Tokyo, there's no guarantee this thing goes through. How many times can Trump change his name? I know if you got caught in that big downdraft in NXPI and now you're getting this little bump. I mean, obviously, there's opinions on the street as well. I think that takeout price was much, much higher, but here you are, you're getting
27.
Yeah. From a technical perspective, 110.15. That was your high on April 19th. You did get up to that area. Actually, you got up to 111.50. So I think that there's faith that this deal may go through or the continued strength in NXPI. I like to see it get back over 110, hold 110, take out that pre-market high and just keep on going, gap up to 115. But I think, if this thing starts to fade heavy off the open, I think I would have to join in if I've been buying this thing, on that big gap down.
So Qualcomm does the big buyback, assuming that, they got a lot of cash now because it doesn't look like they're buying NXPI. Now they potentially could be the deal back on NXPI on the table here. They have enough cash to do all this. If they do the $10 billion buyback and now all of a sudden they're going to do the NXPI deal potentially too, is that not strapping them a little bit, or this is just such a cash company?
Have you ever had anybody like renege on a buyback? Like, oh, we're not going to do it now because we have to do this other deal.
I don't know. Yeah, that's a question too here. Maybe they just got a ton of cash and they're fine for the buyback too. But it's up. I'm not arguing. It's up to $150 here. So I got half my losses back. I'm in at 62. I'm in way too early. I wanted Broadcom to buy them, and then Trump did me in on that one. But Trump helping me here this morning. It's up $1.50.
All right, let's cover a stock that was on 60 Minutes last night. And boy, I mean, you got a good reaction in this, not quite like the lumber liquidators reaction. Spencer, tell us what's
not good for Boston Scientific.
Well, yeah, good is relative, I would think. But
good for traders.
Yeah, no, Boston Scientific. I meant to watch this one and I forgot, but I saw the trailer. Basically, this is the largest class action lawsuit since asbestos, and there's over. What is the number that they said? More than 100,000 women are suing for this mesh that they make that is surgically implanted, and it's causing all sorts of problems.
So stock down 3% on this report. Obviously, whenever you're on 60 Minutes, it's usually never good for your stock. But Stifel came out this morning. They were defending it. They said to buy on the weakness that the 60 Minutes report was probably overstated. So I don't know what this means. It's not good, though, if you just take the summary this morning, because it is trading down 3.5%.
All right, let's take a look at your pre-market action. Someone got a little excited here at 7:15 this morning and knocked it down to 27.80. You had a few thousand.
What time was that?
That was you should have been paying attention, Dennis. That was between 7 and 7:15. About 6,000 shares traded.
Wowzers. So Stifel comments might have helped this, because Stifel comments came out right around 7:30 or something. Do you see the spike up after that? I'm wondering if it was a Stifel comment. Maybe that was just overdone. Maybe it was just ridiculously overdone when it got down to 27. But Stifel did come out in the 7 o'clock hour and defending it. So
perhaps
it's back up here at 29. And we know Stifel, you talk about some of the brokers out there. I don't know why they have so much influence, but I track this stuff and I look at it very closely because they trade the ratings. I tell you, Stifel's one of the most influential analysts on the street. They really are. And you think about, we naturally think about the Goldmans and the JP Morgans and the Morgan Stanleys, the Bank of America as being the most influential. You got to put Stifel right up there too, because when they comment, they move stocks.
You call it Stifel, I call it Stifel. But anyways, it's funny because those comments from them, Boston Scientific says no new developments. And this was on Friday. Was the transvaginal mesh issue. Expect 60 Minutes will cover information that is already publicly available. So the company had tried to be out in ahead of it, actually, because this news was from Friday. As always, if you're long this thing, the stock has had a nice run, trading at a multi-year high. We're back at levels we haven't seen since 2005 in this. Stuck its head into the 30 handle. But Dennis will be keeping an eye if it gets up to the closing price of $29.97. And like I said, that's your highest close.
I'll be selling a short
Yeah.
up there.
Yep. If in fact it gets up there. I mean, the stock's had a nice run, real good support. Had a couple lows last
Might
week.
get up there right now as you speak.
Yeah,
Just 30 cents.
Yeah, it didn't even get close to Wednesdays and Thursdays double bottom at 26.27 and 26.42.
All right, jump over to some individual stocks that are going to report and that are going to report this week. We're jumping into retail earnings season. We get Agilent tonight, so that's a tech stock. But tomorrow we're going to get Home Depot. Wednesday from the retailers, we're going to hear from Macy's. We're also hear from Take-Two and Cisco. Thursday, we're going to get Walmart, Nordstrom, Applied Materials. Friday, we're going to get Deere and Campbell. So we got some big names. It's kind of quiet. There's not a ton of names, but the names that are reporting are moving here. And if you look again, the same story, Agilent trading up ahead of their report, Home Depot trading up ahead of their report. I know Spinner was talking about Walmart. I'm going to go to this chart here because Spinner pointed out a pretty good level there in our chat saying, hey, Walmart kind of forming a triple bottom there from the last 3 days. We talked about this, gapping down, and I thought, and I said it on the show that day, I was like, I don't know if I'd really, think this is going to kill it. It is a breakdown of a technical level, but what I thought about when they were doing that deal, I thought that, hey, this, is short-term pain for long-term gain. Is the deal really that bad? It's starting to come back here now. And this might get over 85 here and start to close the gap. I think Walmart could have a decent day. It reports Thursday. I think it could be over 85 by Thursday. So I kind of like Walmart as a short-term play ahead of the earnings report, not holding it into earnings, but just the next couple of days because I think you could get a lift here.
And I just want to comment on the price action. Remember when Walmart was just getting walloped? What was that on the 9th? So that was, what was that, Tuesday of last week?
Yeah, that was the deal.
Yeah. And, the reason.
What was the shopping cart?
Flip cart, wasn't it?
A flip cart.
Right.
Shopping cart, please.
You trying to be like me or something? 81.20. I mean, that's where it got to in the pre-market trading. And, so sometimes, that pre-market action can give you some prices that, how many standard deviations were you trading when you were trading in the 82 handle? Now you got the nice daily chart. At least you know where you're wrong here with the triple bottom at 82. So 81 handle being defended. And chart looks good here, always with an out there with the triple bottom at 82.
Look at the Home Depot chart. It's taken off ahead of the earnings as well. Last 3 days up here and now breaking out another dollar again. Whew. They just run up ahead of the reports. I mean, there seems to be the easiest money, at least this earnings season, than the run-ups ahead of the reports because it seems like they start about a week ahead and they just keep running. And then and then it's a random off of the report, obviously, but more of a coin flip. But ahead of the reports, man, there's a lot of stocks. Like the NVIDIA one was crazy. NVIDIA ran $30 3 days ahead of its report, and then it got hit on the actual good earnings, but I was all priced in. Home Depot appears to be doing the same thing. I mean, we're up $3, $4, $5 here in the last couple of days. We're up another $1 this morning. We're going to report tomorrow. Probably going to have a good day just today because they like to buy them ahead of the report, but it's funny how they just run them up ahead of the reports.
I had to run up and then a quiet consolidation in Home Depot and then just another bump up on Friday. Pre-market high, 192.41. You're 90 cents off that. Of course, the SPOOs are off 8 points off that high. Let's see what happens at 191.44. I know we're trading slightly above that at this time, but it's still a relevant level to me. That was your February 20th high. And your all-time high is up over $200. 191.41. I mentioned that high, half and whole numbers because, people just may want to lighten up ahead of the report. And that, Dennis, you've talked about that, the stocks running up ahead of the reports. That's the case with Home Depot today. Plus it's spring and, trying to be spring here. And, people are
seasonality.
Yeah, seasonality stock, but chart looks good.
Kroger cover. It was a cover, Barron's?
Not the cover.
What was on cover?
Oh gosh,
you didn't look at the cover.
I was so busy.
You were so excited to read the whole thing. You didn't look at the cover.
What was on the cover? Help me out here, Spencer.
It's a buybacks, right?
Oh yeah.
It's buybacks, generic buybacks. What were they saying about buybacks? Buybacks good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or the companies all buy at the high?
Apple, JP Morgan, Alphabet, they're all going to buybacks.
Well, they're
buybacks this year.
Yep, they're using my levels for the buybacks, so they'll be buying the stock at good prices. Yeah, buybacks was on the cover, and how it's gonna have add support to the market. But I mean, that's a discussion for another time here, Dennis. Who else do we have reporting this week?
John Roberts telling me that Kroger is moving big time off Barron's here. So let's talk Kroger here. What they were featured positively, Joel?
Very positive growth. The grocery stores, and they made a good analogy. Remember when Best Buy was going out of business because Amazon was just going to eat their lunch, and they kind of, they mentioned that as well. I mean, we all saw what happened to Best Buy here.
Best Buy came all the way back. They figured it out.
They're doing some cost cutting. They're closing some unprofitable stores. The other thing that's big too is they're getting into the home delivery. And I told you we have that for Myers. And I can't tell you how convenient it is. I mean, I think Lisa tips the people a little bit too much, but because it's not as much as a cost savings. But I give the tip that she says that I should give the people, but it's very convenient. And they call you when you do your list ahead of online. They check it off. They call you if they don't have something. And Kroger a little bit late to the game, but they're getting into that as well. The stock is, it had that washout back when Amazon came into it, got under $20, rallied up over 30. Let's see what we did in pre-market. Pre-market, we got to 25.20, backed off 40 cents on this one. If you're looking for a target above that, 25.32, folks. That's a good number. That was your high on May 1st. And if, in fact, you could clear that, you might be looking at 26.04. That was your April 30th high.
What else? ANET said was in Barron's as well, although not moving much. Arista Networks.
Yeah, they think that they're going after Cisco business. I think it's the new CEO. I can't even pronounce her name. They're going to be going. They're going to be going after the Cisco's networking business. So
this is a funky looking chart. I mean, look at this thing. It's gapped down twice to the 240 area, and every time it comes right back. So it's done the same thing again from 240 up to 260 here. Filled the gap again. So this is a gap filler stock, I guess. Even look back in February. Going all the way down, fills the gap. Maybe we'll put this on our list. This is a stock that always fills the gap.
Yeah, always.
That's a good thing to know.
The always trade.
Because something always happens always. Anyways, lots of gap fills here on ANET. So 260, I don't know what to say on this. This chart is just kind of a mess, though. A little bit more of an accordion. But you get those gaps in there. They seem to fill on ANET.
You're using my my word there, the accordion chart. I know.
I take all your content, Joel. I steal it.
You do.
I don't even give you credit for it.
We filled the gap and then some here. You had the gap at 60.22, kind of hanging out at 260 here. I mean, that big green candle on the day where it went, it had a big range. It went from 65 to 67.85, had a 10-point range that day. But make a long story short here, if you're shorting this thing in the 260 handle, you may have nowhere to cover here because there's a big bar there. The close on that day was 67.85. Doesn't look like they have the juice to get here, but big swing level, 260 here in ANET if it can hold it off the open.
A lot of ratings and some interesting ones. And we've been talking, value's kind of back in favor the last few days. You've seen a lot of these stocks like the Qualcomms, starting to catch a bid here. Even AT&T and Verizon showing life. Verizon showing big time life. They're reversing off that 46, $3 straight up. So you are seeing some value stocks come back into favor. I want to just look, L Brands, maybe one of your value stocks. It's been a value trap out of your retailers. The dividend now on L Brands, 7.29%.
I love it.
Crazy high. It's a huge dividend. I don't know if lingerie is going out of business or what it is, but that L Brands chart has been ugly. But today it is getting defended by Citigroup, and they needed somebody to defend them. So that makes me a little bit bullish L Brands, at least in the short term. Not going to the long-term investment portfolio, but the short-term swing trading portfolio, I kind of like it. You have the washout low there. when the stock went down, I believe, what was that, Spencer, there when it went from like 34 down to $30.70? Was that earnings there 2 days ago or 2 trading days ago? What was the catalyst there to knock L-Brands down? That kind of was capitulation.
Was it someone on the street? Was it a rating?
I don't. Spencer, are you still there in the background? Maybe you got your pro.
I'm still here. I don't really know if there was anything. Wait, how long ago?
Just 2 days. We're talking the 10th. So it went from 33 and
I skipped right over it. Comps are flat is what April comps flat.
Comps are bad. This feels like, and this is what you look like when a stock is in a heavy downtrend. You look for that capitulation bottom. And it kind of looks like that's what it was on 30.70 on May the 10th. It's like everybody says, this L-Brands is going out of business. Get me the hell out. It looks like it might have been the bottom. And then you go the next day and try to test a little bit, open 31.35, and then closed okay. We closed actually green. We're up here this morning getting defended by Citigroup here. I think the stock could see $35 in a hurry.
This
all short term.
Lisa has this one in one of her portfolios.
Nice dividend.
Yeah.
I've thought about having it, but I've been burned with some of these ones. And I just, like I said, I don't own a lot of retail stocks. I probably should put a few in there, but I'm just not a huge fan of retail because I still think there's a lot of problems, longer term. But I don't know, 7.29%. If the dividend's safe, I don't know if it is or not. It's a nice dividend.
Yep.
You already get 7% now on your money. Not very many places.
Nowhere.
Not in a bond.
Angie Baby is not buying undergarments online. That's a hard thing to do there. So some hope
maybe
for
L-Brands is okay.
Yeah, Victoria's Secret. Stargazer thinks it's going to break 30. I hope not. But if you talk about,
I think it's 35 before it's 30. Stargazer, I'll make you bet. I think it's 35 before 30. I think it was a capitulation bottom. Short term, I'm bullish. If it takes out $30 though, I don't want any part of it. So that would be my stop out. Would be that low. Not even 30, just the stop out low at 30.70. So if I'm taking her long here and it's up already 60 cents because of the upgrade from Citi, I'm stopping up below 30.70.
Dennis, you want to see an itchy chart? And
I like itchy charts.
How about our Kraft Heinz here?
Is it going? I've almost got my
this.
money back in that thing. Sell. Actually, that is like just bunching up here. And value's back in favor a little bit right now. That looks like it could go
62. Just give me 62. Give it to me.
Yeah, 60. Where
are you buying over 62, Spencer? Or
I think
what are you doing?
61.
What? Wait, Joel, what did you say?
Is that where you're long it at, or is that?
No, that's where I will be long it.
Do you got a buy stop there?
I think
for
I'm
like
at
100,000.
Give me 61. I'm selling.
No, you're not, Dennis.
Give me my money back.
You don't do that in your portfolio. You don't.
I can't. I got not look at it.
Okay.
It's pay. I got to think the dividend. Oh, KHC. 4.2%.
All right. So what?
Anyways.
All right.
The value stocks are coming back around. I like this L-Brand short term. Up 50 cents. Up 50 cents. I might even chase this thing today.
All right. So where are we with
FMC upgraded at Goldman here? So we're in the ratings now. I'm taking you all over the place. FMC catches an upgrade at Goldman. It's a lithium play, obviously, in stock trading up $1.40. It has been hot for a week. $80 there a week and a half ago. Now it's 90, so it's moving. I own the ALB. I own the other one. I wish they would have upgraded that one, but it doesn't look quite as nice on the charts. Bigger company, a little dividend there, but FMC, more of a pure play, I think, and it is trading up $1.40 on the pre-market on the Goldman upgrade.
Big level. I'll give it to you, folks, right now. 91.63. That was your high that was your February high, trading at 90.30, up $1.40. The best they could do so far in the very spotty trades here at 90.30. In fact, it's only an odd lot. So my focus today in this issue will be that February high of 91.63.
UPS trading up $2 here, $1.50 on upgrade from Bank of America.
Wow.
Yeah, that's, come back a long ways too. And this was one I wanted to put in. I've owned UPS before around 105, and then I sold it out. I can't remember. I made one, longer term trade on in my investment portfolio there. Now, I didn't rebuy it. I wish I would have rebought in the lower 100s. 3% dividend is always nice too, but it's moving too. And this got hit originally too. A lot of these stocks got hit. They're saying, okay, Amazon's going to eat their lunch as well. Have come back. And this is kind of on the comeback trail here too. So it seems like when Amazon comes into your space, they knock you down significantly. But you look at the Costco's and maybe not Walmart, because Walmart has other issues, but Costco came all the way back too. So it seems like these sometimes are buying opportunities when Amazon is announced to come to your space, because sometimes they knock them down 5, 6, 7% in a short period of time. Gives you an opportunity to maybe get in on the cheap. UPS, thoughts, Joel? Starting to look bullish on the chart.
Yeah. I mean, wow, starting to look nice move, trading up $1.65 here, 117.10, and just hanging out. Not a lot of volume, but just hanging out near the highs of the session. Let's go to the daily chart here, and what can we find? We got one daily high. Ooh, we cleared the 116.31. I mean, there was a couple bad down days that it had. I don't know if this was off earnings. I think it was or just the February swoon. But you really have a lot of air in this thing, and you also have a big gap to fill between 121 and 126.25. So nothing but air in this thing. Just kind of like the way it came down. And you're talking about stocks that came back, from quick sellouts after earnings. Did you see what the cat did with that?
Wowzers.
Yeah. Did you see that thing? It got that down on the CEO's comments during the earnings call, and then that just turned around
all the way back,
dime and came all the way back. So wow, a lot of good.
Well,
price
Boeing
action
has come back too. I always think for some reason Boeing and Cat are really trading together lately too. Boeing has come a long ways back off its lows as well. Got down to 320 multiple times, and the market overall, I mean, just had a really strong week last week. So you're seeing a lot of charts look a lot better than they did. If we were to rewind the tape to last week, they weren't looking nearly as good they are now. So it's funny. You look at the SPY chart overall, and it's still tough to figure out. You're still in an overall trading range. You still got major resistance up near 280. You get another 7 points up here, and it's going to be really thick up there as you got people who bought in February and March that are trying to get their money back there. But we didn't make new lows on the move. The most recent move here, you kind of got a little W pattern within a W pattern. I don't know if you kind of see the W within a W. It's a little W. Didn't quite get there, then try to make another littler W, and now it's starting to look bullish. We all like the W's. Mark Chaikin was on the show talking about the original W. I see another little W in here too. So that being said, it has not paid to chase stocks. So I expect, there's still to be some whipsaw action here. I don't think we're going straight up, but if I had to make a bet, I think we make new highs, maybe even, by the end of the summer on the indexes. I said that earlier as well. It's been a month since I said that, and we haven't made new highs. It looked kind of scary for a little bit there, but if we're looking, I think we're going up before, we make new lows.
And I mean, if you talk about, like news, I don't know if this was on Friday or over the weekend, but did you see like not only is North Korea not going to bomb us, but they're going to dismantle, and they're going to have a big ceremony for dismantling their nuclear sites. So I mean,
Trump says it's working. What he's doing is working. Maybe.
I think that was the plan the whole time, but I'm not going to go into that right now. Dennis, can you throw us one or two imbalances here before we take a break and bring on?
Well, AT&T, which had a nice day on Friday, it's following through here this morning. 142,000 shares to buy this morning. So AT&T looks like the value stocks again coming back in favor. People looking at those high dividends, 6.17% dividend in AT&T. Obviously, people are thinking that dividend might not be safe or would never get that high. But right now, they're thinking it's safe because they were buying here the last couple of days and buying it this morning. Jump over to Teva. It's got 28,000 to buy. There is news on Teva here this morning. Perrigo, PRGO, announced on Friday that they will not be. I don't have them going off out of my head here.
Complete response letter. Complete response letter. Never a good thing to get from the FDA, especially the Friday at 4 p.m. news dump.
Okay. And they also said they're not launching the Teva generic on PRGO.
Well, yeah, that's what they got the CRL for. So they have to go back to the drawing board and resubmit everything.
And that's why Teva. So it was going to be a competing drug for Teva. It is not. So PRGO getting hit on this news. Teva trading up slightly. It was trading up a little bit more after hours, but it's up 1.2%. You want to talk about a stock that's come back too from the lows. Teva's starting to look pretty good. And what about? I always think of when I look at Teva, I always look at VRX. My VRX is starting to look pretty good here, Joel.
Dennis, some negative ink and barons on that if you want to read it. Not real bad.
It's only down 6 cents.
Dennis, we got
what they say.
they said that it's a precipitous rally here, and there's a lot of things that can go wrong. But you know what? We got to go to a break here, and we got to bring in Rachel Shasha, Dennis. So let Chris take Chris. We didn't mention Chris Diascalis filling in very well here for Spencer. He's sweating a little bit, but let's see. Now he says he's not. All right, let's get through the break, and let's bring back Rachel. Elconin. Welcome back, traders and investors, to Benzinga's Pre-Market Prep, brought to you by Benzinga Pro. I'm your co-host, Joel Elconin, along with Dennis Dick and Spencer Israel. Christopher Diascalis working the boards today for Spencer. And we are joined by Rachel Shasha. She is a trader and blogger at Sassy Options. Rachel, how are you doing today?
I'm great. Thank you for asking.
Okay. And Rachel, we're going to be seeing you over the next couple days here at the FinTech Awards. And we're looking forward to that. And is this going to be your first time at the FinTech Awards, or have we had you in the past?
No, I've been there one other time. It's a blast.
Yeah.
So it's fun time.
There's going to be a lot of smart people there. I think we're going to be close to capacity, 750, 800 people, but definitely looking forward to meeting you. But let's move over to the markets here. And here we are, so far away from the February lows. I mean, you're kind of feeling like, if you didn't buy the dip, that was the dip. And now we're here right back up. Just give us your overall market thoughts.
I mean, it does seem like that, and I would like to believe that because, this whole chop between February and where we are today has not been the funnest to trade. But I don't actually know if we are now. I mean, we could just stay range bound for a while. We still haven't made a new high. We're still, a little bit away from a new high, even though I will say the Russell seems to be leading the way. But still, I wouldn't say all is clear, jump all in. If you're a short-term trader, I'm talking about. We're still in the range right now. So I think until we take out those highs convincingly, it still could be bear's game. I don't know, or just chop game.
All right. Is there anything that, on your radar that, perhaps, maybe a little late to the game here in the rally? I mean, you've had, your Apples and some of, your other stocks make some big moves here. You have some stocks moving today. Is there anything that maybe you picked up on that February dip that, you're waiting for see a little bit more upside than in the overall market?
Well, for this week, I'm looking at several things. So because Apple has made a new high, and usually when one of those momentum stocks, like the Apple kind of stuff, makes a new high, a lot of other ones start to follow. So I'm thinking maybe Amazon or Baba could be, or even Netflix could be in play this week. So I'm going to watch them and see if they start taking off. But the other thing I'm looking at is possibly rotation into biotech. Now, it's very early to say that. I have no idea if it's going to happen or not. Biotech is often like one of those things that just teases you and then just doesn't work out. But did have that Trump news that was a non-event and started rallying on Friday. So it could be that we see some rotation into biotech. So I'm going to keep an eye on that this week. Financials seem to be doing a little better, so I want to watch them a little bit, but they're still kind of crappy in general. So they're still like in the doghouse, but maybe they can prove themselves this week. But so yeah, I would say for this week, I'm going to look at those few names in terms of the momentum stocks, and then I'm going to see if some biotech can get going.
Let's talk about, Dennis, did you have something there?
No, go ahead. Sorry.
No, no, you didn't signal me you were coming in. No, I just wanted to ask you, you said this week. So do you kind of like, Friday, you finish up the markets, you take a little break on Saturday, and then maybe get back to the charts on Sunday and kind of set up your strategy for the week? Or is it more like you see some things on Friday? You see some moves on Friday and you're like, hey, this is my focus for next week. Or do you pick up a Barron's, or how do you make your stock choices for the week?
Typically I'll start to see the things that I'm interested in towards the end of the week before, but then over the weekend I will really, more closely look into them. But yeah, since I'm a short-term trader, I kind of go week by week. And so, yeah, so like Friday, I noticed biotech, and it's just one day, so I'm not getting excited about them. But they do put in great big moves if you can catch them. So I definitely just want them on my radar in case there's some rotation. Because, for a while, especially last year, it was just constant rotation. And this year hasn't been so much. The whole market seems to be a little bit more correlated this year than it was last year. But, if maybe we are going to start trending again, perhaps we start to see that rotation again. They've been pretty underwater for a while, so maybe it's their turn.
I mean, just looking at some of these other names here that, and obviously everything rallied last week, but it's been a lot of, the weaker names like AT&T and Verizon that have been completely out of favor, actually turned on a dime on about Wednesday. If you looked at the Verizon chart, it was making a new 52-week low, and boom, it gets back $3 here. Some of these stocks that have the higher dividends, they're starting to look a little bit more favorable here in the last couple of days. Anything you're playing over there? AT&T and Verizon land, or any of these other higher yielders?
No, because I do these short-term options, so
they don't move enough.
They don't move enough, yeah.
You talked about Baba. You did talk about Baba being on your radar there, and Baba has had a huge move there in the last 5-6 days. It's come all the way back up. I mean, I'm so torn on a lot of these charts there, because you look and you're like, man, a lot of these things got momentum, but you've got the February highs and the March highs on a lot of these stocks that they've got to contend with here. It looks like Baba to me has had a big move already. I feel like now I'm chasing it here a bit. If you're still bullish it, maybe you could set up something for us. How would you play this to protect yourself in case, we do top out here at this 200 area again? Is there a way to play it? A little safer way to play it?
I totally agree with you. I mean, it's at that level where it could either just go, just, hang around and consolidate, or just flop. So I would say don't even touch it until at least it proves itself. Meaning, I would say it needs to get over 201 and hold. So that means hold for a good 10, 20 minutes. And then if it just fails and drops below, you get out. But I feel like you got to wait for a good trigger. You can't just in between this area between 192 and 199 really is no man's land. It'll just keep trapping people. So it could just stay in that range for a while and just keep trapping people. So that's why especially if you're a short-term trader, you want to wait for something, some significant move where it's proving itself. So I think if they can hold over 201 for a little bit of time, or even go over 201 and then, I don't know, hit 203 and back test 201 and hold, then you get in. But I think in this little consolidation range from last week, it's not worth it until something happens.
Another stock that's crawling its way back here is Twitter. It got, the beats there a couple weeks ago, but slowly we've had a lot of green candles here for Twitter in the last week and a half. It's back up, not to the highs that we got to in March, but not that far from it. What are you thinking about Twitter here at these levels?
I do like Twitter, actually. I mean, it's just like you said, it's just in such it's in such a long range, basically from February to now. It's, it doesn't really go anywhere. So I would say, if it can hold over 34, it's going to start pressing outside of its upper Bollinger Band, and it's probably going to, start to make a new 52-week high. So, get over maybe 37. But I would say, wait till it's solidly over 34. If not, you're just back in that top area where it's not really doing anything between basically 28 and 34. Basically, it's just, just chop. It's just going to chop you up.
All right, Rachel, I have yet to ask you about your Goldman Sachs option indicator. And boy, I tell you, a lot of these financial stocks, I mean, they had good earnings and a lot of them just got punished here. You had just that washout bottom there. It came back with the rest of the market. I don't know if I want to call it a head and shoulders bottom here in Goldman Sachs, but are you seeing anything in the options market that's noteworthy in Goldman Sachs?
No, it's the last year and a half, it's really been out of play. I don't even use it as an indicator anymore. Okay. It's been pretty crappy. I think it's just, it was a market leader and I mean, to an extent, it still is just because it weighs a lot in the S&P, but it's kind of crappy and financials in general just aren't great. I think if they can get over 246 this week, it probably can get back to its like 50-day around 251 to 252. But it really needs to take that level out to start making any progress. I mean, it's under the 200-day right now, and the 200-day is pretty much flat. So it's just kind of a crappy. I mean, I would like to think financials maybe start doing better now. There was that whole thing about if interest rates go up, financials are gonna, but so far that has not proven very well or very true.
Well, you know what, Rachel, it's a really good point that you're making here. And I think something that Dennis and I try and stretch a lot is like, you can go to the well, there's certain things you follow, but the dynamics in the market change. And, just changing your trading style or your indicators or things like that could be something that could really help you out in the long run, just being flexible. Just taking a look here. Oil stocks, do you have any interest in the oil patch? Crude's had a nice run. Some of the stocks are still trying to play catch up to it. Anything that you follow in the energy sector?
I don't really follow it, but I was looking at it. I mean, things like Oxy at OXY and TSX, they look great, but then it's like they're kind of extended, and for being oil stocks, it's just hard to like want to jump into them after being extended. And since I think that if this Middle East stuff, keeps going with, Trump talking and stuff and possible war and whatever's going on, then oil will, probably keep going up just news-based. But you never know when all of a sudden he comes out and says something like, oh, we settled it, and then bam, it's done.
Yeah, they do make some quick moves. We've been joined on the line here by Rachel Shasha. She's a trader and blogger at Sassy Options. She joins us periodically, give her short-term thoughts on the market. You're getting some compliments here from Stock Hunter. Rachel has a good read on the market, and I agree with him on that. So we will be seeing you tomorrow or Wednesday at the Benzinga FinTech Awards. Looking forward to it.
Yes, and if anyone's there and wants to say hi, please come approach me.
Okay. All right, Rachel Shasha. All right, S&P futures are just kind of dead here, hanging out at 27.33. Yesterday's high was 32.50, so I'll kind of use that a little bit of a bogey. We'll hold there, go up and test the pre-market high of 41 even, but kind of a sleepy morning. Dennis, is there anything that's moving on your radar?
I mean, I'm seeing green really across the board here. It looks like not much happening in the SPY when you look at it this morning, but there's a lot of individual movers here. You're seeing oil creep up just a little bit here this morning. ExxonMobil, Chevron trading slightly higher. You're seeing the banks, which Rachel was just talking about, all trading up just slightly. The TLT is down. TLT is down. Usually the banks are a little bit more green. And then you're seeing a lot of ratings, we talked about already with like the UPS is trading up. L Brands having some life there after its upgrade from Citi. And, we're seeing pretty much strength, some strength across the board. So I'm actually surprised that the S&P is only up as much as it is with, with the pre-market action in the stocks. I would think the S&Ps would be a bit higher.
Yeah, I just want to note, it looks like Acacia, ACIA, is now trading up 550 here at 37 even. So let's see if we're, I believe we got into the 38 handle. So we're trying, folks, if you're trading this ACIA, 38.50, very light volume traded up there, but it's trying to clear that seller out there at $37.
We're going to take a quick break here. We've actually got Alan Brochstein going to come on special for you guys. We just got a hold of him there because we got a big pot stock deal to talk about. So we're going to take a quick break. We're going to go grab Alan right now.
Welcome back, traders and investors, to Benzinga's Pre-Market Prep, brought to you by Benzinga Pro. We are joined on the line now by Alan Brochstein. He is the author of the 420 Investor Letter. Alan, how you doing on this Monday morning?
Very busy Monday morning. I'm doing well.
Wow. So I don't know. I don't follow the sector as close as you do, but boy, when's the last time we've had some M&A? So give us that perspective and then talk about the deal that's on the table.
Yeah, actually, so before I get going, another milestone, just very briefly, Canopy Growth's moving to the New York Stock Exchange. Huge news there. I don't want to say it's going to cause the stock to move because people have been expecting it. This is a huge milestone. But you're asking about Aurora and MedRelief, and Aurora has been playing chase with Canopy Growth to be the leading, I'll say the leading Canadian licensed producer, but you're really talking about leading global cannabis company. And Aurora just completed the acquisition of CanniMed, which is one of the largest licensed producers as well. And this one's even bigger. They're paying in stock $3.2 billion to acquire MedRelief. MedRelief, if you look back a year ago, right before they went public, they were the second largest licensed producer. And I think they may have dropped a third behind in sales behind Aurora, but pretty close. This last quarter, I think they dropped behind. But so this makes a clear number one in terms of sales. I better be careful. Pretty close on sales, but in market cap, it makes a clear number one.
So we've got Aurora Cannabis, and the symbols just on these because Toronto is different than the US. So maybe give the Canadian and the US symbols for. Yeah.
In Canada, Aurora is ACB, and then in the United States, you put two Fs on it, ACBFF.
Okay, and Aurora here
is Leaf in Canada, LEAF, and then Med with two Fs on it in the United States.
Now, is this going to lead to more M&A action, you think, here? Is there going to be some other players that might get scooped up? What are your thoughts here? Is there more
really interesting? Yeah, let's roll it back a little bit over 6 months ago, and there was what I like to call a green swan event. We're so used to these markets, these black
green swan, nice.
And the green sector had a green swan, and that was when really out of the blue, and it had been hinted, maybe if you're really paying attention, a year before. It took a year for the deal to take place. The big deal was Constellation here in the United States investing in Canopy Growth, and that was a big deal at the time. And my takeaway then was that it was going to lead to more consolidation, and that was obviously an out-of-industry consolidation. We've seen another one of those since then. Alliance One investing in a smaller LP, not publicly traded. Alliance One's a global tobacco company. In Canada, this is I believe the fourth kind of public takeover. The first two were done by Canopy Growth, one in 2015, one in early 2017. Those were Bedrocan and then Metrum. And then the third one was Aurora. I think I might have said fourth. This is fifth. Aurora buying Canamed, which I mentioned earlier. And then more recently, there were two smaller LPs, Haiku Brands and WeedMD, merging. That deal hasn't closed yet. So this is the fifth public transaction. At this moment, there are 104 licenses in Canada. Some of those are held multiple licenses are held by a few of the LPs, like Aurora and Canopy Growth, two of the larger ones. Even MedRelief had 3 different facilities that were licensed. So I don't know, there's probably about 80 companies, publicly traded companies. There's about, I think, 32 right now. And it's a lot for one country, even for one world. We're going to see more consolidation, yes.
Do you think some of the big players, like we had Constellation, obviously you just said investing, and you think there's some other players coming in? Rob Hood is asking, could some of these other alcohol makers like Brown-Forman, be sniffing around and look at potentially investing in pot stocks as well?
The reason against it, the only reason I could come up with is it's kind of expensive, but at the same time, you're at the cusp of the birth of a really large global business, probably. So I don't see why the valuation should necessarily make a big deal. Strategically, yes, there's evidence that, especially from alcohol companies like you just mentioned, Brown-Forman, that they face a threat from cannabis. It's very easy, especially over time as the rules on social use relax, and you can imagine cannabis-based beverages, which that's a very popular concept that's really hard to pull off right now in social format. You can't go to a bar and order a cannabis drink, really, but in the future, we're headed that way. And so, yeah, it's a competitive threat to that industry as well as an opportunity. And what I tell the people at 420 Investor is there's really 3 big types of companies globally. There's the alcohol that you mentioned. There's also pharmaceutical, which I think is going to be a really big area, especially up in Canada when it becomes federally legal and you have already legal for health. And then you have tobacco. That one seems less obvious to me, but these companies have a lot of cash and they need to grow. So those are, yes, to answer your question, we should see a lot of cross-industry M&A.
Speak about the medical, Afria, which actually I have taken a speculative position in here now in my own investment portfolio there, has pulled back significantly off the highs. I mean, APH at over $24. I'm talking APH in Canada. Yep. It's APHQF in the US. It hit up to $24.75 just back at the beginning of January. It fell to $10 here in the US. And actually, that's the Canadian pricing. It's fallen to $10. It's bounced back up here a little bit there. It's expanding. I know, like, just because it's local for me, so I know that they're buying up more greenhouses. They keep expanding there, but they're a big player in the medical area there. What are your thoughts there on Afria?
So number one, I would say if you're an Afria shareholder, you should be kind of glad to see this consolidation because you have a number 1 and a number 2 now, and so now the number of choices for acquisition just dropped. So I think that's maybe a good thing. Afria's had a lot of problems recently in their credibility department. They announced a big deal. It was very difficult for people in the market to understand why they paid so much to buy Nuvera. The deal's already closed. And then it came out that insiders at Afria had invested in Nuvera and had not disclosed it. This is not illegal. I would say, I think they learned a lesson here. Just because you're not required by law to disclose something, especially for a management team that's held in such high esteem, that's then you can maybe do that in Canada.
Sounds a little shady.
It sounds shady. I don't want to say these are good people in my opinion, and I get it. It wasn't illegal, but I think that really weighed on the stock. The combination of those two things, and then even Friday, or actually maybe it was reported Friday, Wednesday, there's been some insider selling in size from one of the founders there, Cole, and it's not the first time, and the sector's seen insider selling, and I don't want to be too critical of it, but gosh, when your stock's down the way you just described it and you're still unloading a lot, that's not a very good signal to investors.
Can I hit you up with just a couple symbols here? We're up against the clock, but our chat's being very patient here. Yep. The BLOZF, the maker of the breathalyzer. Any thoughts on that?
So I have some real fundamental problems with that technology. It's definitely a big need. There's no doubt about it. I mean, we need to tell impairment, but everything that I've read, and this company's not the only one working on it. There's one out of Stanford called Hound Labs. it's a great concept, but hard to pull off. And here's the real issue. Alcohol goes into your body differently than cannabis. And so in alcohol, it's really easy to measure. If you have a blood alcohol content, period, it's going to affect people the same. People that use cannabis very frequently might have high levels of THC, but not be impaired. And this is the problem with this technology. And so there's a question of whether it works. And there's a question of, even if it does work and can do this measurement, what does it actually mean? So I don't have a lot of hope for that company, actually, but I could be wrong.
How about BUDZ? Weed.
That is a scam. And I say that word very carefully. A complete scam. The company's being sued by somebody as well. This is a very silly penny stock. Ironically, with a symbol like weed, I think it has done well because of that. I'm sorry, that's not, that's the name, weed. With the name weed and a symbol buds, it's attracted what I would call very uninformed, naive investors who really don't know how to do due diligence, in my opinion.
This is why we bring Alan Brochstein on. I mean, he tells the truth.
Subscribe.
You're not scared to come out and call a spade, though. We always love going to you. You are our guy in this sector, and we thank you so much for coming on such short notice as well, Alan.
I send you free samples, right? Take it easy,
Joel
guys.
loves those free samples.
Hey. All right, Spencer. What you want to wrap things up?
Thanks, Alan.
Yeah.
Thanks, Alan.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Alan, for coming on, guys. And thanks to everyone who tuned in today. On the docket for tomorrow is Nick Shaheen, as we mentioned. Joel and I are going to be doing the show live from the Benzinga FinTech Awards. But Dennis will still be with us as well, and so will Chris. So that'll be for tomorrow's show. Hope you guys enjoyed today's show. Thank you to our guests, Rachel, Shasha, and Alan Brochstein for coming on. Hope you all have a good rest of your morning, and we will see you folks on Tuesday. Have a good one.